Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. How are y'all doing today? Welcome to a Tuesday edition of In the Blender. The schedule dropped this week. I will have Chef Jew with a special edition of schedule release party in the Blender this Thursday with Chef Jew, man. But right now, we have a special guest in the back that I wanted to give a special introduction to. Oh man! As a matter of fact, I'm gonna be dropping a hint. So grab yourself a beverage, cigar. We're about to get to our next guest when we come back. Oh, this shit's good.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.
What's going on, y'all? Like I previewed before, this next guest, I first heard him on late night. He was on late. He had a show late night Thursdays, and late night Thursdays. And of course, I couldn't stay up late night, so I would listen to him the day before, the day after. It was great because I had something to listen to on my commute the next day. You know him. He has a golden voice. And I tell you what, when I first joined the Finn's Tailgate, he was there to help me and make sure that, mentor, kind of a mentor role. So I am always be grateful for Culler. And I want to give him a warm welcome to In the Blender. The one, the only, Mr. Culler Commentary. Welcome to the program, my brother. And it's an honor to have you on here, man.
Thank you very much, man. You make me blush, bro. If I had the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Good evening, man. How's everybody tonight?
Everybody's wonderful, man. I appreciate you as always, man.
My pleasure to be
What's
here.
up, Vinny?
I'm currently en route to run an errand.
Shout out to Vinny in the building.
I'll be back at my desktop here in about 40 minutes or so. Should be cleared up for any audio issues. But other than that, man, and pre-summer is definitely set in. Most people would know that as spring. In South Florida, but
pre-summer, it's kind of like preheating your oven, right?
Right now, man, and it's
kind of like preheating your oven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we touched 90, like 92, 93. Yeah, definitely. It was brutal.
Yeah, it's kind of hot in the house, and the AC works extra hard these 2 times a year. So, yeah, man, got to make sure you change your air filters and all that good stuff. So around this time of year, training camp is coming up. What happened?
Oh no, yep. I was just saying you're right. Yep.
Yeah. So this time of year, training camp is coming up, and one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. You were on Pete's channel earlier today. Shout out to Pete. And you were saying about how you saw Skylar Thompson throw passes. Some of these quarterbacks, in training camp. What would you say is the difference between the training camp and one of the advantages of watching training camp? What I want to say, as you did.
I mean, I guess for each person, yeah, you can hear me okay, right?
Yes, yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great. At least on my end,
that's
why I got the headphones.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it really is. I mean, it just depends. I mean, everybody, for what you can get out of it, everybody kind of has their own reasons and what they're looking for overall, as a fan, you just want to make sure you got good participation and everybody's happy to be there. Coaches are all going to have their different reasons to look, but for me, I really like to, what I can take from camp is mainly that, yeah, this person isn't like an idiot, you know what I mean? But at the same time, really what makes camp different is that there's just no pressure. I mean, there's pressure in the respect that you're trying to make the team, but it's not quite the same. So when we do talk about, things that happen in training camp, you do have to sort of take them with a grain of salt because you're talking about, sometimes a tailored situation, you know what I mean? Because it's not so much practice isn't always to learn something. Sometimes it's to get stuff right. And, they'll create situations to make that happen. So I say that, it's hard to overblow anybody that's looking like fantastic and doing great things, especially if they were expected to. But then when you have high expectations of a player and other guys that weren't supposed to do anything or already kind of have this better attitude in camp or doing certain things, you can look at different technique. That's a real big thing that I like to take from camp, looking at players, because that's all you can. I mean, you want to make sure that everybody's working on the right stuff, and and obviously you can get an idea of what the Dolphins are trying to do when it comes to what they feel they need to work on. But there's only still a certain amount of that. But that being said, it's a good environment for if you've got raw skills and those skills need to be on display. It's a really good place to display them because you're not in a game time environment where, hey, look, you might not even get a snap. You might not even get on the field that day. Whereas in training camp, everybody is cycling through everything. You really get to see everybody play and what they can actually bring to the table.
Yeah.
Hope that wasn't too winded.
Yeah, no, but no, it was perfect. Let me ask you, what advice would you give somebody that could training camp?
Like going to camp or somebody viewing camp?
Give me 1 second, please. Hold on.
Sure. Meantime, everybody hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribing to Larry K. Larry K is really an awesome human being. He lives up there in the thick of it, up in the Northeast, where the worst fans in football live, for the most part. So, man, he's taking it for the team.
I apologize.
Subscriber.
So
I remember when he hit 1,000.
What advice would you give people going to training camp for the first time?
So, like a viewer going to camp?
Yeah, let's say if I was going to camp.
Like a fan? Oh yeah.
Besides hydration.
Bring some water. You can only. I don't remember what the rules are bringing it in, but they do sell water there. Drink lots of water and bring your favorite headache reliever, because it is sunny there and you're sitting there all day in the sun watching these guys. It's bright. The colors are bright. You tend to get a headache.
Don't they have a shadow, a shade, whatever?
Oh yeah, you're sitting in shade, but I mean, you're kind of like, it's just I get headaches when I go to football games after 3 hours. So maybe it's just me, but that bright sun and all that, man, it just gives me a headache after a while.
Yeah.
Maybe my hat's too tight. No, but look, it depends on what. Like for me, I always like to look at the positions that I know best. I played a little wide receiver in my younger days, and not professionally, of course, but so and it's a position that I've studied my whole life because I love doing it. So I always like to see, hey, there's certain things I can look at and say, hey, this guy's a diamond in the rough, or nah, this guy ain't got it. You might even have a guy that's supposed to be a superstar like T.F.G that I wasn't ever sold on, because I'm looking at certain things that I know really, there's first and foremost catching the football, because none of the yardage and all that matters. None of the speed, none of that matters if the ball's laying on the ground. So there's that. But at the same time, that is not the only thing. It's just the first and foremost thing. So a lot of times, just having the ability to look the football in and catch almost everything thrown to you is a perfectly viable way to hash out a decent NFL career and be viable. I mean, look at guys like Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. These guys are just making sure they catch the ball.
Especially in the clutch situations.
Right. So you can, so I like to kind of see, hey, is there this certain guy that nobody's looking at? And then of course, I'd say first and foremost, pick your favorite position to focus on, because there's so much going on. If you try to take it all in one visit, that's the other piece of advice. Go more than once. You know what I mean? But there's so much to take in that obviously you just want to kind of go in with an idea of what you're trying to look at. You know what I mean? Position wise, player wise, whatever, and try to focus on one or two things instead of trying to take it all in. Otherwise, you'll find you'll get tunnel vision and you won't remember anything you saw.
Yeah,
so that's probably the biggest piece of advice.
And isn't it true that in camp, like for instance, Skylar Thompson and Tua will be well, so for instance, Skylar Thompson will have a set of groups that he throws to, and Tua has a set of group that he throws to, and they're playing at the same time, and it's kind of hard to keep track of one field. Skylar's playing with his team, and then Tua's playing with his team at the same time, so you got to kind of try to keep track back and forth. Who do I really want to see, Skylar or Tua?
Right.
Is that going
on?
The
great thing is, yeah, exactly, absolutely. And the other thing is that don't worry so much about trying to take it all in. When pick a something to focus on, because by close to the end of practice, you're gonna see 11-man drills. You know what I mean? You're gonna see 2-minute warning drills and stuff like that, where everybody's on the field and they're playing raw football. You know what I mean? So don't feel like you're missing out on something just because you don't try to take it all in at once, because you're going to get to see everybody in action in some way. It's a real great time, and as far as that goes. And of course, make sure you bring a Sharpie and something to write on, because every single every camp there's going to be a couple guys hanging out by the fence after practice to sign autographs. So bring your Sharpie, bring your favorite piece of memorabilia, and I suggest get down there where they kind of meet up to do autographs. Kind of get down there a little bit before practice starts, so you can get up against the barricade there, and pick. I got the an autograph from Jalen Phillips and as well as Skylar Thompson. Skylar was by choice. I sought him out, but Jalen Phillips, he just he was down by the end and signed a couple kids' autographs. A great dude. He made sure.
Too bad you didn't have a Canes hat for him to sign on. Did you? Did you give him a Canes hat to sign?
I did. Yeah, I did. He signed my Canes Adidas hat.
Okay.
The old style Adidas standard. You know what I mean? Your Hurricanes hat. So
what did he say when he saw the Canes hat?
Well, he's cool. He's obviously a Miamian. So, but what I thought was interesting is that there were a few kids around, you know what I mean? And he made sure to take their stuff and sign it before ever even looking my way. You know what I mean? He actually looked at me and kind of what you would think of as like a diss almost, but it was like I'm nodding at him. I'm like, no, bro, take care of the kids, man. You know what I mean? And so he's a real, he's real cool like that. His priorities are in the right place as far as what he's doing there, and after practice signing autographs and all that. So and he respected that.
Two things about Phillips though. Phillips, because The Rock, he grew up in LA, and of course, he claims Miami because of University of Miami. And I think that's the same thing with Jalen Phillips. Another thing with Jalen Phillips, I'm telling you, next time you hear Jalen Phillips talk, close your eyes, right? And I swear to God, I think that's Jason Taylor talking.
I know there are so many similarities, and I know we all really want him to be him. You know what I mean? It's like, and a lot of people are a little sour on it. You know what I mean? Because they just don't see it that way. But if you really look at statistics over his career, man, he's well on pace to beat JT still. You know,
man. And like I said, one thing about me, what you did on Saturdays is I don't care about Sundays. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I root for Phillips now. Before I didn't, but now I do. And one thing I want to say to the Bills: please stop drafting Gators. I appreciate that, please. Well, man, I don't know what hurts me more, and I'm sure you guys went through that. And not only did the fact that you went through the same thing in the '90s. Not only did Buffalo beat you, but a freaking Miami Hurricane quarterback was the one that delivered the death blow.
That was always rough. We never drafted Hurricanes back in the day, man. We just never did it.
Yeah, now I know how you feel with Jim Kelly.
Well, I think that's kind of why I'm a little extra. I'll admit it. I'm a little extra in my feels with Jalen Phillips because look, he's a Hurricane. First of all, he's got the skill, so it's not like I'm just,
for sure. No, I agree with you, man.
Trying anybody out, you know what I mean? But that night against Trevor Lawrence and Clemson, that just impressed the heck out of me, dude. We got destroyed that night, and the only thing we could hang our hat on was Jalen Phillips being all over Trevor Lawrence the whole night, dude. I saw that, and I'm like, who's this number 15? And that's when I knew we have to draft this guy. So not only is he a Hurricane that we drafted in the first round, but it's like the first time in my life as a Dolphins fan that they actually drafted somebody I wanted them to. So I'm kind of like, I got a special place for Phillips, man. I'm gonna roll with him until he rolls out a season with 5 sacks, and then I'm done. You know what I mean? I mean, what can I say, man? I hope the best for him, and barring the injury, he was actually on pace to be about a year ahead of Jason Taylor when it comes back. Like a 12 plus sack. Jason 15 and a half sacks.
I'm sorry, you broke up. I couldn't hear
his fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that JT didn't get 14 and a half sacks until his 4th season.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So in the year Phillips gets hurt with 6 sacks, 8 games in, Jason Taylor in his 3rd year played the entire season and only got 5 sacks. That was the season before he got 14 and a half. So I'm still not off. I'm not ready to throw in the towel for Phillips yet by any stretch of the imagination as far as becoming a guy like Jason Taylor.
Mm-hmm. Give me 1 second, please.
Sure. I got Mom here. Say hi, Mom.
Hi. Who wants to say hi to?
The world. Everybody watching Shake Show on Larry K. Everybody that's going to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and share the show. Shake would greatly appreciate it, and so would Larry K.
I don't do anything for free.
She says she don't do anything for free.
No,
So we got you.
I don't blame you.
No, but I mean, yeah, I'm excited. I guess I'm going to try to get to camp at some point this year.
We,
as Mom just noted.
Oh, that's what's up. Hell yeah.
And I'll definitely be checking out our wide receiver room
Me
for
too.
sure.
Okay. Now that she's there, I want to ask you the $1 million question. Now that you picked her up, why? And she can answer too. But why did you become a Dolphin fan?
Why did I become a Dolphins fan? Because there was really never any
There
alternatives.
was no other teams.
That's what she just said too. But I mean, part of it is, obviously it's the town I grew up in. It's South Florida. You know what I mean? I'm here. They're half of their team colors look like our sunsets every night, and the other half, looks like every other building painted in Miami. So just kidding. That was a joke, by the way. That was back in the 80s. There was people that paint their house, aqua and all that. So yeah. It's just, when I was a kid, I told this story before, but when I was a kid in elementary school, the year that we played, I believe, the Redskins, and it was a really nasty storm after school that day, and my parents were late picking me up. Not late, but late because of the storm. You know what I mean? But man, and me and my little sister couldn't have been like 6 years old, just sitting there bawling our eyes out, right? And the school had, like, because we were in the Super Bowl, even up here in Palm Beach County, like the whole town was painted with Dolphins gear. You know what I mean? Like everybody was into it. It was Super Bowl fever. You know what I mean? And it's kind of the earliest memory I have of seeing anything to do with it. And
I'm sorry, you broke up, Culler.
It was just, hey, sure thing.
Yeah.
All
Wow,
good,
no
all good.
alternative. Yeah. Shout out to Michael K and Miss Finn's in the building. Crypto.
This
I
is the
see
true
Bleezy.
blender.
Yeah.
How about
Tony
now?
goes, wow, no alternative. You're a Dolphin fan because no alternative.
So we were truly in the blender.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were truly in the blender. But no, it was kind of like an amalgamation of becoming a
wow, you're in the blender again.
Which, everybody in the town's talking Super Bowl. Everybody in the town's talking Super Bowl, and I'm like, what's this? So it was kind of at the same time becoming a football fan. You know what I mean? Like learning football at the same time. It's and it was just natural to be a fan of the town the area I'm from. So.
Well,
you could say
what's funny is when I was
a Dolphin fan by birth. You could say I'm a Dolphin fan by birth if you look at my birth as when I first was introduced to the game of football. If you look at that as my birth, then I am a Dolphin fan by birth.
Yeah. What's funny is I tell people this all the time. I was a casual Dolphin fan, like I'm a casual Marlins fan. I root for them if they're doing well. Hey, go Marlins. Hey, go Heat. Go Panthers. Just like But the one thing that made me fall when I fell in love with the sport of football, that's when I kind of fell in love more with the Dolphins. You know what I mean? I think I fell in love with football before I fell in love with the Dolphins. If that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? Going to high school games and watching.
I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Be a Falcons fan? I mean,
Oh, believe me, growing up here in Miami, there's a lot of Cowboy fans, a lot of Steeler fans. So they're native South Floridian. So just because you're from South Florida doesn't mean that you're automatically a Dolphin fan.
Right. Yeah, and there was no Jacksonville Jaguars at the time. So who wants to be a Tampa fan, bro? Really? I mean, they were wearing those uniforms were hideous, man.
What's up, Fred? Raphael Courtright. Yeah, man. I mean, so let me ask you. Let's talk about.
Real quick, Shake. I did have one chance to become a Tampa fan and jump ship. in my life when I was, early in my, or I'd say right around, late high school. I had one chance because we were bad and the Bucks were heading to the Super Bowl. My dad jumped ship. He hated the Dolphins. He always hid the fact he didn't like the Dolphins. Whatever. He ain't gonna hide it from me anymore. But one chance I could have jumped and I didn't. I'm like, no, I'm sticking with the Dolphins. I ain't doing it. I don't want to be a Bucks fan. And they even had better uniforms by that point. But I still was like, no, I can't do it. Then I'm too much invested already.
Like a
at that
Twinkie.
point.
Like a
So
Twinkie.
there's no going back now. I had the one chance in life and I didn't take it. So I'm stuck.
Yeah. I remember I had Mike Olive from Dolphins Talk on in the blender, and the one thing he says, you will leave your wife, you'll leave your mistress, but you'll never leave your sports team. So I kind of agree with him on that. Being that this is gonna be my second wife. So Culler, let's talk a little about this last year's sports. What grade would you give it?
Last year's what?
Last year team. What grade would you give last year's team?
You mean overall after all said and done, playoff?
Yeah,
and all that?
And it's a totality.
I mean, I'd say a B minus, and the minus is always, I always give a minus or a plus as a qualifier, and the minus is because of the way we went out. You can't argue that we were an above average team, bro. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You're not an 11-win team without, by being average. People can talk about our quality of opponent, whatever else, and we didn't win against the good teams, but we did do what we needed to do against the bad teams. So that earned us 11 wins, and it is what it is. That's
you break. I can't hear you, Culler.
is what it is. But I do want to recognize that it didn't end well, so that's gonna incur a minus. So B minus.
Okay.
We know who the minus belongs to.
Being that, by the way, you're at a couple of games. I know we one of the things I'm always going to remember.
Last year, actually.
One of the things that's going to stick out to my mind is when we did an episode. We substituted for Ali. We did we did the at your house, live at your house. Remember, I was co-hosting live at your. Yeah, yep. I got to spend the night at your house, and we drove. We drove to the game together.
Yep, Shake sat in the chair, man, the studio chair.
Yeah, I mean, I got to sit in Culler Studio, and it was. I tell you what, man, that's one of the things that I'm gonna always remember for last year. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you're welcome anytime, man. As a jumping point to get to the game any freaking time, man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
all the guys are welcome. All of our team members and a few others. I had to go rescue MCJB one night. I remember.
Yeah. MCJB, hell yeah! Shout out to him, man. No, but the thing that I'm always remember, obviously, besides the games and the games I went to, is the tailgates. It's a lot of fun to just hang out with the people that you meet with online. We met with Joe Rist that day. Joe Rist, Raphael Courtwright, Crypto, Larry K, Piolucci. All these guys that we got to see before. On camera. Then you actually see in person. Just like last year was the first time you saw El Capitan in the flesh, right? During training camp.
Yeah, I believe so.
What was that like?
Oh, it was awesome, man. We went to we hit up. You know what? I don't know if that was the first time. or if the game he came to was the first time. No, it was the first time because we ended up stopping for a bite to eat afterwards at a Twin Peaks or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool, man. You know, Cap's an awesome dude, man. And you know what? You ain't got to worry about nothing when you're rolling with Cap either.
Yeah.
People just ain't gonna act a fool around you, bro. You know what I mean? He's got too much charisma and he can back it all up. So, you know, you're with the cool people when you're chilling with Cap, man.
I remember the first time I met Cap was I won 2 cards on Stephen D's channel, and at the time, you know, he lived close to me, so he gave me the cards personally. So I kind of met him before you did. So
right on. We're gonna enter the zone now, Shake. We'll see what happens. I'm approaching it from a different direction, so we might get. But yeah.
So, as you know, as I shared it on Twitter. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. I shared this on Twitter. One of the pictures that there you go. There's El Cap with his that's El Cap with his purple jacket. My man Dolphin Winters, and there you go, Culler, and there goes me in the middle right there.
Really?
Yeah, it was 8 by 6.5.
The small one.
Yeah, like that fits in. It was just supposed to be a real.
All right, we have some technical. He's in a drop zone, but we'll be back. What's going on, everybody? Let me talk to the chat a little bit. Like I said, Miss Finn's in the building. What's going on, Michael K? How y'all doing? You were trolling a BDMD stuck in the middle with you. Yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, that's one of the things I liked about. That's one of the reasons I kind of glad I did what I did last year. Last year was kind of a catalyst of me meeting new people. What I did in the blender, you know, I got to know them, and I met them in the tailgate. I met Winters in the tailgate, a guest I had last year. Ali Dolfreaky, I met her in person. Stephen D, I met him, which I already, you know. So there's a lot of people that I've met. There were guests in the blender or in the chat as well, you know. So I met Miss Finn's in person there, and Chef Jew, and the list. I mean, it's a long list of people that I got to actually meet in the tailgate, man. And I tell you, it's hard to put into words, but I tell you, if you ever guys get a chance to tailgate before a game, I would recommend it. The food is good, the vibe is good. Yo, what's going on? My man, Dolphins Gang Entertainment, DG Live. What's going on, my brother? How you doing? So, Steeler Wheels. What's going on? So it is an amazing time, but yeah, man, the schedule is coming out this Thursday. I will have Chef Jew in the building. Chef Jew, you know who Chef Jew is, man. Y'all don't know who Chef Jew is. Let me introduce you to Chef Jew right here. Chef Jew, Chef Jew's Catering, Fayette County area, Miami, Broward, and the West Palm Beaches. Let Chef Jew cook for you. You want a chef that could cook mouth-watering cupcakes, cakes, and pies? Hit up Chef Jew, 786-804-8096. Mention the Shake Money, and you get 10% off your first order. That's right. Mention Shake Money. Let Chef Jew cater for you, especially this time of year. We're gonna have a lot of summer celebrations. What better way than to get Chef Jew to cater for you? Crypto, what's going on? On the road today, I saw a dead. Hey, listen, Crypto. Hell yeah. So, hey, DG Live, man, I need to get you in an episode for the Blender, man. If you down to come in the if you down to come in and record an episode, man, let me know. I would love to have you on, and I definitely want to meet you at a tailgate for sure. Go Gators, baby. DJ Lagway ain't gonna start next year, but we gotta Graham Mertz. Unfortunately, he's gonna be the starter, so it is what it is. Hey, Crypto, listen to me. In order for the Miami Dolphins to make a Super Bowl run, what we got to do is go to Philadelphia, say, hey, listen, Waddle, we'll trade you Waddle for first and Devontae Parker, right? And only then can we make a serious Super Bowl run. We need to get Devontae Parker back, extend Eichenberg, and there we go. We'll have our Super Bowl winning roster with Eichenberg and Devontae Parker. Definitely, that's going to upgrade this team. Right, Crypto? See, my Crypto agrees with me that we need to bring Devontae Parker back. That's right. Bring that man home. You down with DVP? Yeah, you know me. That's right. We all down with DVP, man. Crypto, he's a big time Devontae Parker fan. He went to New England last year for the sole purpose of seeing Devontae Parker play in person. That's the reason why he went to the New England game. Don't let him fool you. Crypto went to New England to see Devontae Parker play in person. That was on his bucket list. I need to see Devontae Parker play in person. So okay, that's what's up. Hell yeah. I'm down. Hell yeah. We'll do that. Yeah, that was it, Crypto. You went to New England to see Devontae Parker in person. That's what you did. You know it. I know it. And then you even got a Devontae Parker autograph on one of his jersey. He has a Devontae. Don't let Crypto fool you. He had Winters was at the game too, and he said he saw Crypto with a Devontae Parker jersey on. So he probably had him sign it. So yeah, man. So yeah, so this week's schedule is coming out, man. I hope that we can get some of the cold games in September, like Green Bay. Definitely want to get Buffalo up in here. If we have to go to Buffalo, I want it to be not in December, but I'm kind of torn up, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, look, we need to get some of these cold games out the way because we got to see how this team handles in cold weather. You know, we need to get some cold games under our belt because that's one thing you in December you can't avoid is cold games. What's going on, Bleezy? And Bleezy was one of the other people I got to meet. We were at I think it was week 1, and I was in the Fort Myers watch party with Dolph Freaky. I saw him for the first time in person. We got to watch the game. We had a good time. Shout out to Bleezy in the building. Hell yeah. Man, the Panthers lost. We lost. We got a. I mean, it was an ass whooping yesterday. I ain't gonna lie. The Bruins. Looks like the Boston teams are getting revenge from last year because we beat last year. The Florida teams beat Boston. This year, they're getting kind of like their revenge, so to speak. So, all right. And Culler,
All
back.
right, last delay. Sorry about that, bro.
That's all right. You sound better.
Yep, we're all settled in now.
Okay, that's what's up. Hold on. Say something?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. This is better. All right. So, all right, now, so you give them a C minus. So,
No, B minus.
a B minus. Okay. Let me ask. All right, you have participate. I have two awards: the participation MVP and the participation trophy on offense and defense. Who is your offensive MVP and offensive participation trophy?
Offense, I'd have to go Raheem Mostert. The guy's 31 years old, puts up over 20 touchdowns, man. Over 20 touchdowns, bro. Like, I think we just glossed over that. Like, that was some easy thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think that we do anything of what we did last year without those 20 plus touchdowns. So, yeah. I mean, he was taking them in from the 13-yard line. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. How about the participation trophy?
I'd have to go with Tua. It continues to stick in there and continues to participate. And, continues to get better. What can I say? Slowly but surely.
How about defense?
Easily. Let's see. On defense, man, it's a good one. I'd have to go Zach Seiler.
Zach Seiler?
Mm-hmm.
And the
I
participation
think his arm alone accounts for a whole nother tackler.
Yeah. 10 sacks. That's pretty impressive.
Yep, and I'd like to go through and count how many times a running back didn't get through the hole because of him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've literally seen him just reach out his arm and stop a running back from going through the hole. Participation award on defense would have to go to, that's probably not a popular opinion, given the contract thing and the bald cat and all that, but I think Javon Holland, because no matter how much Jerome Baker wanted to stand there with his finger up his butt, Javon Holland's still trying to make tackles, so.
Yeah, man. And so, being that one of your specialties is the wide receiver, right? How would you compare this going to this year's wide receiver room to last year's wide receiver room? How many wide receivers do you see making it to the final cut this year?
How many we go with last year? 7?
I think we did we?
Something like that.
Yeah. We had Chosen. Robbie Chosen was on that team. Cedric Wilson was on that, accounting from Tyreek Hill and Izukama, Craycraft,
Barrio, and of course Barrios, Craycraft, and Craycraft did one stint, I think, to start the year on the practice squad, and then Chosen did a stint, I think, on the practice squad. And then, of course, Easy. Where was Easy at? Injured reserve at one point or something? I mean,
he started the season, then he went to IR.
Okay. So we'll say 7 to start with. You know what I mean? Obviously, Tyreek, Waddle. I think OBJ is a shoe-in. OJB. I was about to say OJB. So that's 3.
And you know what's funny is a lot of people don't underestimate River Craycraft. River Craycraft was one of the first free agents that got signed after McDaniel signed the dotted line. You know.
Yep. And speaking of what I look for in a pass catcher, strictly pass catching, the very first highlight reel they put out for him when we signed him was enough for me. I'm looking at one thing and one thing only, and I've stressed it so many times, and I think people really underestimate still how important it is, and it is all in the eyes. It really doesn't matter what you're working with as long as you know that your eyes are the most important tool you have in catching a football. And Craycraft demonstrated that right off the bat to me in that highlight reel. Like, okay, so we know he can catch the ball, and that's translated to a pretty decent catch rate, since he's been here. And last year, you're looking at, I looked it up, happened to look it up earlier because the conversation on Twitter was going on, a 66% success rate. You know, the highest on the team was 72%. So you're talking about a guy that Mike McDaniel is probably going to value for his ability to just do what Mike McDaniel needs him to do. That's a very important thing. So personally, I'd have to say that until one of these guys, we brought in a few free agents that look really good. We drafted a couple guys that look really good. You know what I mean? We'll see how that turns out. But until further notice, I have Craycraft still on this team.
Yeah. And I want you to think about something too. A lot of people, like you look at, like we were talking about earlier in this program, your Danny Amendolas, your Julian Edelmans, and all the spectacular plays they made in the playoffs. A lot of those guys, if you put, and I'm not talking about this generation's NFL, I'm talking about the generation they played in. A lot of those guys would not be number 1 and 2 on most teams in the NFL.
Right. I mean, look at Welker. He wasn't a number 1 on our team.
Nope. Yeah, we had believe it or not, we had Devontae Parker, Crypto's favorite. We had Jakeem Grant, Albert Wilson, and some other, I forgot the other receivers, but yeah, we had a little track team going at that time too. We had speed, but I think the only thing is the only difference between this track team and the other track team is I think Waddle and Hill are better route runners than Jakeem Grant and Wilson. I think Wilson, all they had was speed.
Yep. No cut. Well, maybe Grant, maybe a little, but not near. No, I mean, Grant is really like a discount Tyreek if you think about it, bro. Like he really is.
Yeah, dollar store Tyreek.
Right, dollar store Tyreek. Yeah, pretty much. Except maybe he's got better hands, but he drops it all the time too. Mm-hmm. Jakeem Grant did.
That's blasphemy. So,
but I mean, obviously Odell Beckham is going to reorder the whole thing, dude. So everybody, whatever you were at, you're one step lower now, on the totem pole.
I was telling people that, you look at when we acquired Jalen Ramsey, I was pumped about it. Yes, we got Jalen Ramsey. When we got Tyreek Hill, I was pumped about it. But when we got Odell Beckham, like, yeah, okay, cool, we got him. Right, I mean, I wasn't saying, oh damn, we suck now. I wasn't mad about it, but I wasn't over elated like I was when we got Ramsey and Tyreek Hill.
True. But if you were to put yourself in the mindset or the perspective of what we're actually intending to use him for,
Yeah.
Then you can actually find a way to say, okay, I am as pumped as I was for those guys, but just from a different perspective. Like, you know what I mean? Like if we needed a number one and Odell Beckham was in his second year of his career, we'd be pumped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We
No
don't
doubt.
need that. We needed a wide receiver 3, and we got what some would consider, and I know he probably won't make it because he just hasn't put in the numbers since his first couple seasons. But we're talking about a Hall of Fame level wide receiver at wide receiver 3. So then you're like, okay, well, if you're talking about bringing in the best possible wide receiver 3 on the planet, then I think Odell Beckham Jr. probably should make most people pumped in that situation from that perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing about OBJ and OBJ, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle is all three could play the boundary. All three could play all three positions, X, Y, and slot. You know what I mean?
Right.
If Tyreek Hill wanted to play the slot, he can. If Waddle wanted to play the slot, he can. And if OBJ wanted to play the slot, so it's all about the motions. They can do better motions now.
Sort of like when the Rams rented Weddle halfway through their year in their Super Bowl run, right? Nobody's going to be over pumped by that rental. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You look at it from the perspective of, hey, we just need a rental to supplement guys like Jalen Ramsey. Well, that's a pretty dang good rental. You know what I mean? Weddle, you know, I mean, I would have been pumped from that perspective.
Well, and you know what's funny is you look at the greatest show on turf. Everybody talks about Kurt Warner. Everybody talks about Isaac Bruce and Terry Holt, and of course the running back Marshall Faulk. But the one guy, the one unsung hero that people forget to leave out is Hazir Hakim.
What's that?
Right? Hazir Hakim.
Oh yeah, I was actually going to say Ricky Prohl.
But I was going to say Hazir Hakim was one. He was another guy who was a speed deepster, a speed demon that helped open up that offense as well. You know.
Yeah. A lot of people would forget also, though, Ricky Prohl, he would have been the linchpin of their operation as far as the role that Welker and Edelman played, you know, those types. A Craycraft, you know what I mean? Ricky Prohl was a really good receiver. And every bit as much the reason them Rams were what they were, man. People forget about old Ricky Prohl.
Yeah, man. Like I said, one thing I like about you, we're gonna be in that you love the wide receivers. This is gonna be like a wide receiver heavy episode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because one thing I do want to notice, and it doesn't bother me because it's not our receivers are not playing Buffalo's wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
But if you notice, there is, when you look at from a physical standpoint, our receivers, they're kind of like the opposite of our receivers. Like most of our receivers are under 6 feet versus most of their wide receivers aren't even under 6'2". Or over 6'2". Look, Matt Collins, Justin Shorter, who's a former Gator. You know, the guy Claypool, like 6'4", 6'2", wide receivers. They're big boys.
Right. Most of our guys are fast.
Mm-hmm.
Their guys are slow. Most of our guys are good. Most of their guys are not.
Yeah. That's the thing about the NFL. It's like when we talk about fans, that's the one thing about the NFL is it's 32 teams, and most of them have different philosophies on team building.
Right. It's 32 teams and they all suck.
Damn right. But I find it interesting how Buffalo is kind of like their maybe it's because of the quarterback they have, right? They can't use the same type of receivers that we have.
Yeah.
Because
you're not going to hear me excusing them.
No. Oh man. Well, listen. At the end of the day, we will. You know, they say it's not on paper, right?
That's right. That's right. But look, I also have, because I like the position so much. You know, I also find myself having the most patience with the wide receivers when it comes to like, why ain't this guy on the field yet? You know, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why. Like, I would say pump the brakes, people. You're probably not going to see OBJ be a superstar right out the gate for us. I mean, you probably won't even see him for a couple games. You know, but be prepared for that.
No, yeah. But I agree
I
with
mean, I'm
Crypto.
excited about the guy. The guy ain't washed yet, bro. The only thing
Yeah.
that I question is his will. Like, does he really care anymore about the game and all that stuff? But I'm not saying there's any indication he doesn't. But let's face it, it's not like he's putting up huge numbers for the past 4 or 5 seasons. You know what I mean? He's kind of just been a fixture of the league.
Yeah, but listen, at the end of the day, I think that's a good thing. As long as I think the one thing that I hope for next year is that Tyreek Hill says, you know what, this 2,000 yards is a pipe dream. There's a reason why most people haven't got it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, a lot of people say, "Oh man, Dan Marino has all these records." You know what I'm saying? All these passing records, but at the end of the day, those passing records were more for the name on the back, not the name on the front. That makes any sense?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these stats, these 2,000 yards, it's going to benefit Tyreek Hill more than it's going to benefit the Dolphins, because we could be losing and he still gets 2,000 yards. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
No
It's not
more. No
uncommon
more.
that,
Do the Detroit Lion fans understand that more than anybody?
that's why I like Dak Prescott, man, because Dak Prescott, if you're playing fantasy football, the games where he gets you the most fantasy points are the games where he loses, because he has to make up he has to
Oh,
stat pad.
that's how Tannehill used to win for me in fantasy all the time, man.
Uh-huh.
Junk time. It's like he's getting his 40 fantasy points. Make no mistake.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just think that people that want to throw stats and records, like I said, all that is for the name on the back of the jersey, because it helps them get a bigger contract. It helps them kind of cement their legacy, not the Dolphins' legacy. You know, when they put Dan Marino in the Hall of Fame, it says Miami. It says Dan Marino. It doesn't. There's no Miami Dolphin on that gold jacket. You know what I mean?
Right.
At least I know of. I've never seen a Hall of Fame jacket up close, so there could be a Dolphin on there, but I don't know. Not that I've never seen a logo on a Hall of Fame jacket. Is what I'm
No,
trying to
you're
say.
right. Not on the jacket. I mean, they might mention that he played for the Dolphins under his bust.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like Michael K got the menu from the F1 race the other day.
$280 for a lobster roll. Holy shit!
Oh yeah,
man.
Nene posted the menu on Twitter, bro. It was crazy, dude. Oh, just crazy, man.
God damn, I better get some sucky with that. Holy shit!
Like mozzarella sticks, $70. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
Oh, what the?
I don't know, but it was like that. I don't know. I'm not sure. I was joking there,
Listen,
but
that better be some goat cheese milked by hand in the Alps of Switzerland.
it's like one of them $50 cups of goat turd coffee in New York,
Yeah.
Which Ali still hasn't gotten me to drink yet.
That better be some special mozzarella sticks if I'm paying $70 for them.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find her. Get on her profile and find her post. It was the other day. It was like Sunday or something. I guess she was down in town for that. I didn't know Nene was down in town.
So being that you gave the what would you give so far the overall? This is just like the halfway point, I would say, between free agency and the draft. What grade would you give that?
So basically, revise my draft, free agency, and stuff like that, or UDFAs and all that. I still have us firmly at a B plus. I might go to A minus because of Odell, but we'll see what we do after the 53-man cuts and all that. We still got so many ways we can enhance our team still before the offseason is over.
Yeah, we still got the post-June cut money that's coming to us.
Yep. All of that. I mean, even if there's one player out of it that we get,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. It's going to be an amazing offseason. So you said you played wide receiver at high school, right?
Yes.
So what was your number, first and foremost?
Well, I wore a few. I did wear 33 at one point.
Al Bundy's number, by the way.
I wore 88.
You know, that's Al Bundy's number in Polk.
Oh, yeah, 33. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wore 88, and for the most part, I wore 82. That's what I identify with, 82.
82. Let me ask you, I know I've done this before, but have you ever, when you were wide receiver, have you ever remember 10, you were like one of the Marx brothers catching a pass from Dan Marino?
Not really. Weird thing is, if I was throwing the ball, I'd act like I was Dan Marino. But if catching the ball, no, I never did that for some reason. I know I caught the ball like Randy Moss, but I didn't pretend to be him.
Yeah. Yeah, man. He was one of my favorite wide receivers, Randy Moss. And of course you got Santana Moss. They're
like
not related.
I wanted to be a quarterback growing up. Like I wanted to play that. You know what I mean? I just knew I was better at wide receiver. Like I could throw, like, obviously I don't have the arm strength of an NFL quarterback, but as far as accuracy and ball placement, I'm equally as good a thrower as I am a catcher. But if somebody were to, like, if it was like my kids were being held ransom or something and I had to choose either throw to a target or catch a football, I'm going to choose to catch a football.
What do you think are when you were playing high school football? What were the three fundamentals that you were taught as a wide receiver, like that were instilled to you as a wide receiver by your coach? Like, what were some of the fundamentals? It have to be three, but some of the fundamentals that you learned as a wide receiver playing in high school.
Well, the absolute most important one was your eyes and how important they are, and looking the ball in all the way into possession. I really don't see anything as more important than that, because the rest of it can be schemed around. If you're not the fastest guy in the world, that's okay. You can teach a guy how to cut the right way. You can teach a guy how to run a route tree. You can teach him situational stuff. So then it becomes 90% mental and 10% eyes. Pretty much. I mean, yeah, you have to have some kind of physical stature that's not going to get you beat up on the field. But look at guys like Robbie Chosen or Ted Ginn or Tavon Austin. Man, these guys are really, really small and skinny guys. Albert Wilson, and other than Albert Wilson, they were pretty much, for the most part, able to, keep themselves safe and not get their heads wrung, So, yeah, the athletic ability, they're all the fun. But when it comes to just raw, if you want to even hope to get anywhere, you're not getting anywhere without possession of the football. And that's the most important thing. the rest of it is like, like, okay, if I'm in this type of offense and the DB is doing it, do I make an inside cut out, a back shoulder, or this, that, and the other? All of that is coached and taught. But, you can't force somebody to focus on using their eyes. That's something that has to be done by the person, and everybody has their own level with that. Because even the guys that know that's what it's all about. Okay, what makes you great is that you do that every single time the ball's coming to you. It's not a matter of, oh, I know that I got to keep my eyes on the football. Anybody can be told that. Anybody can know that. But do you do it consistently? Do you really live it? Because that's really all it's about.
No doubt.
If I'm not fast enough to run for 10 yards, okay, the coach is going to put me at 10 yards out before I get the ball. But dropping it at 1 yard ain't going to get you no yardage.
Yeah,
as Phin-Addict found out, against Philadelphia. I mean,
what was your favorite wide receiver catch that you seen last year?
Last year,
Hard Rock, yeah.
Ooh, man,
you had a plethora to choose from, so.
As good as a throw as it was, that game winner against the Chargers was just as every bit a tough catch to make as it was a throw. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hard pressed not to choose that one. If I were to think about it longer, I probably could come up with another one. But yeah, that was good stuff, man. Didn't Tyreek adjust to one and like turn around two at the same time, and it came right over his head at some point in the season? One of those bombs.
Yeah, sure. I forgot what team it was, but yeah.
Where
I
he
remember
must
the Denver
have been
game.
like
The Denver
dizzy.
game, he was lighting them on fire in Denver.
Yeah, and he must have been dizzy by the time he came down with that ball. That was probably it right there. That was amazing.
I remember the touchdown pass he came down with, and the guy gave the ball to his mom, and the guy tried to take the ball away, trying to intercepted the ball, and everybody like, hey, give him the ball, give Tariq his mom the ball back.
Oh, right, that's right. You can see your mouth. I'm his mom. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, go ahead. Here you go. Take it. Here you go. Take it.
And some really fire throws from Tua a couple occasions,
The schedule is being released next week. What game are you hoping will be the game opener?
Oh, we were talking about that the other day somewhere. That's a good question. I think I ended up thinking that it'd probably be the Jags. Everybody has the Texans because that whole dynamic, but I think the league's going to save that gem for a little later. I think they're going to open it with a lesser gem, but still a gem when it comes to this. I've got to prove that I'm better than my draft class tour that Tua has to be on. Trevor Lawrence is going to be the Glass Joe in his Mike Tyson run. You know what I mean? So that'll probably be likely to be the opening game in Jacksonville.
See, a lot of people don't realize this. A lot of people, I know the 4:20. Look, a lot of people confuse the 4:00 game. Yes, there's a lot of 4:00 games because of the West Coast teams.
Right.
But if you look at the 4:25 games, there's East Coast teams that play on.
Well, yeah, because that's actually the 4:25 is considered prime time
game. It's considered
because by the time it's over, it's prime time. Right.
So my hot take is that the game opener, week one.
What? I'm sorry. Before you announce it, Shake. Okay. I just wanted to say, could we like introduce a new concept here for the first time right here on the Blender?
Sure.
Like instead of saying primetime games because of the way the world has become, where we have fans all over the world and it's not like primetime anywhere anymore. You know what I mean? And we talk about big games or important games or whatever. let's just call them what was the word I was gonna say? Oh man, I done spun myself right out of remembering. What's that?
Main event games?
Well, meaningful would be good, but I know what it was. All eyes on me games.
All eyes on me
Like
games.
all
Okay.
eyes on games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's going to be a meaningful game, 425 against the San Francisco 49ers, week 1.
Oh, that's a good
Kyle
one.
Shanahan versus Mike McDaniel, part 2. Brock Purdy versus Tua, part 2.
Right.
What's up, Dolphin Don? And of course we're gonna close out against. I think we're gonna close out against Buffalo one more time.
Yeah, gross. What's up, Don? That's gross.
I have that feeling because every game is a division game. The last game of the year is a division game. I think they're trying to do like college, where it's rivalry week. You know how every year a lot of them close on rivalry week, whatever. Most college games, and on the rivals like Florida State, Florida, Georgia Tech, and so forth and so forth. I think that's what.
Oh, look at old Adam Sadowski.
Adam Sadowski, yeah, we met him.
Been hiding for a while.
What's up, Adam? How you doing?
I met Adam Sadowski at the stadium too.
Cool dude, man. So, let me ask you, what physical trait, what 3 traits do you that you say an elite receiver must have? What are the 3 traits that an elite wide receiver must have, in your opinion?
Yep, I'll go back to number 1, visual acuity, which would include hand-eye coordination, really long fingers, and at least 6'2". Although I'm 5'11" / 6 foot, but my arms are like as long as somebody that's 6'3". You know what I mean? I mean, height's not everything. That's why I kind of put it last. Maybe speed. I might take speed over height, but depends on how high you can jump and how long your arms are. Again, and that's the thing about Odell Beckham. He plays taller than he is. Like I was struck to find out that he's only like 5'11", man.
Yeah, Randy Moss. I heard he didn't have too big of a hands either. He wasn't
that's interesting, but that just meant his eyes had to be better. I mean, don't get me wrong. Other things help once you do put your eyes on the ball. There are other things that make it easier, to actually take it out of the air. But if you're always positioning yourself from the mentality of taking the ball out of the air instead of catching it, you can be really great at that particular skill. But yeah, visual acuity, humongous hands, and a little bit of height.
What would you say will be humongous hands? Like how big?
Like when you're like, damn, that dude's hands don't look like they fit his body. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because Randy Moss, he was his was 9.63 inches.
Wow. I don't even know what mine are.
And and think about it, he's 6'4".
Right. And again, you could have really small palms, but really long fingers and have an overall small hand. You know what I mean? It's the fingers. They got to be really long, abnormally long.
Like Shaq. Shaq had some. Yeah. Have you seen Shaq's fingers? They're like really abnormally long.
The trouble is it's hard to get a pair of gloves that fit right. But I mean, I don't really need them, but gloves do make it a lot easier in today's league. Again, I always brag that I don't need gloves, but if I'm catching the ball from an NFL quarterback that's beaming it in at 80 miles an hour, I probably would wear gloves. Let's be real, you know.
All right. So before we get into the on the spot questions, one last thing, wide receiver related. How you seen the Marks brothers, and you've seen Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. You know, you've seen both duos play in their prime, right? And one thing about I think one thing people don't realize, the Marks brothers didn't play with gloves. But other than that, is there a way you can compare the two duos right now, Marks brothers and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle?
It's so hard because it's such a different paradigm now, but you know. And for how we would use them, like I can't imagine Dan Marino just wanting a bunch of 5'9" speedsters running around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be easier. It would be easier for the Marks brothers to translate into today than it would be for Tyreek and Waddle to go back in their time. If that kind of helps, it's hard to it's hard to answer. Other than that,
All right. So here you go, on the spot questions. You know, you have the St. Louis Rams, which you've seen, and the LA Rams. You have the Oakland Raiders, LA Raiders, now the Las Vegas Raiders, San Diego Chargers, LA Chargers. With that being said, if the Miami Dolphins became the Austin Dolphins, they it's not like the Cleveland Browns Ravens type of deal. They took the team, the library, and everything to Austin, Texas, and it became the Austin, Texas. Would you still be a Dolphin fan?
no.
No.
Austin in particular, no. I suppose there's a city out there that I would be like, yeah, okay, I'll follow. Especially if we're not getting a team to replace them. But Austin? Oh hell no. I might do San Diego, bro.
I would hate the Dolphins then.
Because San Diego is sort of like the West Coast version of us, you know.
And believe it or not, there's a lot of teams. I spoke to, this is you ain't the first person to ask this question. So usually when I get a lot of cookie cutter answers, I'll stop asking the question. But I've been getting a lot of no's, a lot of yes. You know, there's some people that hell yeah, I'll still rock them. It's all about the logo. So you know, not everybody has that same response. I'm with you though. I want to be a Dolphin fan.
I mean, a lot of the point is, that, the water fountains literally pour out aquamarine water here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah, I bet you his buddy would. I tell you what, there's a lot of San Diego people, a lot of San Diego Dolphin fans on the West Coast. I'm sure they would love to have the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
So, but luckily, that's not going to happen for us. So, you have Stephen Ross, Chris Greer, and Mike McDaniel. You can hang out with one. Which one would it be?
The billionaire.
All right. Now, you have three. You can ask him 3 under oath questions where he has to answer truthfully. What would it be?
Has he ever been to Jupiter?
No, Dolphins related, obviously.
Oh.
And don't be like Michael K. Last week. Have you ever been on Epstein Island?
Mine was close to that.
Jupiter, Florida.
Are you really a Miami Dolphins fan?
Mm-hmm.
Do you regret going to that stinking school that you
Michigan.
went to in Florida?
Oh yeah.
And,
He didn't went to the Canes. He went to UF. No.
yeah, I know.
But go ahead.
Let's see. And
Touche. Well played.
oh, that's a tough one, man. I don't really know what I'd ask him. Why are the
What about the Dolphin Down with a question? Why can't we go back to the old school logos?
yeah. Like, what is your reasoning behind it exactly? Do you really, really like the new logo? I mean, if you're under oath and you say yes, okay, fine. You're the owner. It's your toy. I guess I have to conform.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Did you actually like Ryan Tannehill?
Oh man. What were you thinking when you hired Adam Gase?
Right.
Did Peyton Manning actually call you?
How long is your yacht?
And why couldn't you convince Brian Flores to get on that yacht?
I know, right?
I mean, so many questions you could ask him, man. All right. Before we wrap this up, we got 2 final questions. Because I could be here. We could talk for hours, man. We do on that. We've done it so many times on the Fins tailgate. What is your Mount Rushmore of wide receivers? This is all time. Doesn't have to be Dolphins. Who would
All
they be?
time. League wide. Ooh, that's a
league
good one.
wide.
Well, Jerry Rice is my favorite of all time, so he's definitely going on the mountain. Randy Moss, Steve Largent,
Mm-hmm.
and he's my fourth. Man, that's a tough one.
Terrell Owens?
Nah, not a long enough career.
Tim Brown?
Michael Irving.
Oh yeah, he's a Hurricane too.
I'm
Michael
surprised it even took me that long. Okay, we'll have to give Steve Smith a little chip out down at the foothills. You know what I mean?
He's on your honorable mention.
Yeah. He's in the visitor center on the way up to the mountain.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, man. I tell you what, if that's one receiver that you had to respect in his heyday, that was Michael Irving, man. I seen him split 2 defenders and break tackles.
Mm-hmm.
He was a monster, man.
I could give you a Mount Rushmore of twos of wide receiver twos, man. Shit. I mean,
so all right, let's do it for shits and giggles. Let's do a Mount Rushmore of Miami Dolphins wide receivers.
Well,
I know the Marx brothers are going to be there, right?
There's 2 spots already taken up with the Marx brothers, of course. My third would be Irving Fryer, and my fourth would be
Parker, right?
No. My fourth would be so I had Irving Fryer, and my fourth would be Tony Martin. Tony was the Odell Beckham of his day. That dude would lay straight out like Superman and catch a ball, man. Oh man, and down at the visitor center, chilling with Steve Smith is going to be Chris Chambers.
Chris Chambers, oh yeah. So to recap, it's the Mark brothers, Irving Fryer, and who else?
Tony Martin. Tony Martin.
Okay, well that's what's up. Hell yeah. All right, now who's your all-time Miami Mount Rushmore for Miami Dolphins?
Might have to go Marino, and I'd definitely have to go Zonka. We talking coaches too?
Yeah, it doesn't
And
matter.
it have to be
Owner,
Shula and Jason Taylor.
Jason Taylor. So Zonka, Marino,
Shula and Taylor.
Yeah, that's a pretty good Mount Rushmore. So, yeah, man. Before we close up, any final thoughts, man? And once again, man, I appreciate you for coming up here, man, and giving me some of your time, man. I really
always
do.
A pleasure, man. Always a pleasure.
And
no final thoughts other than
by the way, not only does this cup make coffee taste better, it also makes the Mai Tai taste better as well, too.
I broke mine. I still haven't replaced it yet.
My cat broke mine, so now I have it in after I'm done, I put it in a little closet that the cat can't access.
But yeah, so real quick, Ali we'll be doing a live episode of Broken Takes tonight at 10 o'clock over at the Finn's Tailgate. Make sure you get over there to check that out. Make sure you're liking this like button down here below for Larry K and Shake Money, who puts in great effort both on this channel and ours. I mean, you know, you gotta love Shake, man.
By the way, I don't normally do this, but because I you know, there's rules, there's exception for every rule. Now, this guy I'm about to bring up is the reason me and you are. I call you a teammate. I could call you a teammate. I want to bring you up, the one, the only. This man needs no introduction. El Capitan. What's going on?
What up? What up? What up? I was just interested in the
love the avatar, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's my visitor avatar sometimes. Just when I want to be cool, when I use the phone.
Appreciate you, Don. Don.
The Mount Rushmore wide receiver bit, that was dope. Culler, what was on your Mount Rushmore? Just so I know before I let you close down and jump out
of wide receivers.
Yeah, real quick.
Miami or league wide?
The league.
The league was Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Steve Largent, and who was the fourth one, Shake? Oh, Michael Irving with Steve Smith down at the visitor center.
So I just want to make an adjustment because the Mount Rushmore to me is extremely incomplete without Calvin Johnson on there. To me, I don't think anybody single-handedly could defeat entire defenses the way that guy could.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy with a tight end build and the agility of a Randy Moss. Absolutely, yeah.
When I just heard the bit and I was like, did he put Calvin Johnson on it?
I was thinking about it, but he never really, because he played for Detroit, so he never really did anything for me. So it's like, you know what I mean? I didn't watch him enough. So yeah, but it's like he's one of those guys I'd be like, yo, if I only had one wide receiver to go into battle with for the rest of time, yeah, he'd have to be the one.
Well, so is Barry Sanders, but you got to put him in the. Remember, Barry Sanders played for Detroit. You got to put him in the running back.
Yeah, true.
That's the point I was just getting ready to make, Shake. If you were going to make a Mount Rushmore running backs, Barry would be up there. And it's sad because both of these guys are some of the best athletes to ever play the game.
Well, then I'll take Largent out. I'll put Largent down in the visitor center with.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking because I'm in agreement with Randy Moss, and now I could see how people could swap in this. I mean, it's hard to argue Jerry Rice. He's in there. It's hard to argue against Michael Irvin. I would put him up there as well. Michael Irvin there was a 7-year stretch there where he was deadly. He was so deadly.
Hey, listen, you know me, I hate the Canes. You know how much I hate the Canes, but I respect guys like Michael Irvin, Warren Sapp, Jeremy Shockey, Edric James. You know what I'm saying? I respect those kind of players, bro. There's players that no matter what college they went to, you can't deny their freaking greatness.
Well, you knew every Sunday that you were gonna see them do shit. Not just.
Oh, and you know another wide receiver that went to the U that freaking killed people? Andre Johnson.
Harvin.
Mm-hmm.
Andre Johnson.
Andre Johnson too. Yeah, I could see how Andre Johnson falls kind of in where you lose him in the shuffle. But to me, it's hard to argue with those three. And Calvin Johnson, I just can't. I would say, look, and people are gonna hate this take, and I'll end it with this. You have Calvin Johnson as your number one wide receiver, and you could take any other wide receiver in time, and he's Calvin Johnson on any given day is head and shoulders better than them.
Right. He's like the Dan Marino of wide receivers.
Dead ass, bro. I've never seen somebody at the wide receiver position be able to do everything. He could if you were a lockdown corner, and I don't give a shit who it was. I don't mean to cuss on that. If you literally went against anybody, he could physically just manhandle any one-on-one person. And if it was a high ball, he was never missing. The guy was the greatest. He really was.
Yeah, you know that. And there's so many.
Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison, great.
There's so many that I had to leave off, bro, because it's only a 4-man mountain. It's like you got Ernest Gibbons, Webster Slaughter, Alvin Harper, Andre Reed, James Lofton. The list could go on forever, man.
Yeah, there's a great list.
Like a Bryce Canyon of wide receivers, you know what I mean? Where they're just a bunch of
there's those guys that were speed guys that just caught the ball over the shoulder so beautifully, never lost a stride. You know what I'm saying? There's guys that, would, like Randy Moss, he's mossing everybody. There's guys that were just shifty, all that stuff. But again,
Calvin and then newer guys like DeAndre Hopkins, man. The guy cannot drop a football, man.
Again, you couldn't make a better wide receiver in the lab than what you get out of Calvin Johnson. That's how I feel. That's just it.
He's the guy they got at the visitor center. That's the big statue, so like everybody can compare themselves to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a golden statue is what they got.
Right. And he's got his arms stretched out so you can see his wingspan. You know what I mean?
They don't even secure it, and they let people touch the golden statue because no one would dare deface the perfectness of them. Again, for anyone who forgets,
the guy was running down the road with Megatron on his shoulder.
No way, he gets struck dead. Never seen anything like that ever. Just never seen somebody just be the best athlete on the entire field. It didn't matter. Tyreek Hill speed guys, you're great tight end, you're great running back, you're ridiculously running. It didn't matter. That guy just was the greatest athlete on anywhere he went. He was the Bo Jackson. That's who he was. He's like Bo Jackson, wide receiver style.
Mm-hmm. About that guy played for Houston, Reggie Brown. You ever heard of him? That dude was smoking, man.
Reginald Brown.
Yeah.
Reginald Brown. Probably one of the worst kept secrets at this point, because everybody knows Reg now. Reg was straight. If anyone's down there in the honorable mentions, it's Reg, if not up on the Rushmore itself.
Hey, listen, we got another Cuban. I'm making this. Hey, by the way, I'm making this a Finn's tailgate affair. I got a Cubano waiting for in the backstage.
Who? First of all, honorable mention. Who? Doctor Who?
I heard they called him the medicine man back in the day, dog. I don't know what you're trying to disrespect.
Hey, listen, this guy in the middle right here. Look, see the guy in the middle?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Look at that boy with them Daisy Dukes.
Look, he's the glue holding that group together. He was the glue holding that wide receiver room together in Houston, man.
That's right. Everything we know about that era centers around Reginald Brown.
Well, I want to give my 2 cents on, and pardon me about the names already been mentioned, but one of my favorite receivers of all time, white guy, played for the Seattle Seahawks, Steve Largent. One of the
Yeah,
greatest wide receivers.
Culler had him.
He was
Color
my
had him
third
on his original Mount Rushmore.
I didn't
until,
know that. See,
until
Culler, that's a
Capitan
great.
had to come up with his chisel and shit and like chisel his face off and put Calvin Johnson on there.
I
you know
did
what
do
mean?
that. He's right. I did hijack his show on over here to
Oh,
come here and
man.
say you got that wrong because Calvin Johnson's the greatest athlete on the earth.
But yeah, Lewis, Steve Largent was the records that Jerry Rice broke.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was the guy before Jerry Rice, you know?
Bro, you want to talk about a guy that had sure hands. Talk about a guy like Steve Largent. I don't remember. I can't remember.
How hard were those How hard were those original Seahawk uniforms too back in the day, dog?
Oh, they're beautiful. One of the
they're
best
hard as fuck, bro. This is gangster as fuck. I love them.
Yeah, they were one of the silver teams, you know, all the silver teams used to be freaking strong, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Raiders, well, the Lions at some point, but you know, till they
But
fell off.
would you put him over Calvin Johnson, Lou?
No. Well, from an athlete perspective, no. Calvin Johnson was on a whole nother level. But again, I see a guy in the chat, right? Art Monk from the Washington Redskins.
Oh, how do we leave out Art Monk, man?
Bro, great hands with Art Monk.
I mean,
Art Monk that's a hard one to damn, dude. I didn't even think about the Monk.
And you want to talk about, I'll use a colors word. You want to talk about a football name, Art Monk. That is a football name right there.
You don't get no more football than that, bro.
He is a monk of wide receivers. The monk.
And you know, for a long time, the only reason you'd really even want to watch the Redskins play, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, bro, if you're getting stupid with it, you know, you gotta you think about even like Isaac Bruce. You think about even they said it earlier, Marvin Harrison, Larry Fitzgerald in the fucking 2000s. That guy was fucking stoppable, bro.
And Larry was doing it right up to the end, man. I mean, that dude was playing
Larry was like 38 years old, fucking smoking,
still mossing people.
Are we talking about just from the wide receiver perspective, or could we just
Mount Rushmore of wide receivers is what it was?
I thought it was just pass catchers in general, like with the best hands, because there's a couple tight ends I would throw in there that had some incredible hands as well.
Oh, Tony.
Fuck, Gronk is one of the first ones to come out of anybody's mouth.
Tony Gonzalez was another one. Absolutely, Color. I would say Tony Gonzalez.
Antonio Gates.
Hold on. And here's a guy who's going to say Devontae Parker should be on there, right? Crypto.
Etched in stone, etched in limestone, so it can be washed away. No, limestone. That can be washed away real quick, easier. That's why. Etched in limestone. That's the difference.
What about a guy that played for Philadelphia and then came to Miami after, and Keith Jackson? What about those hands?
Freaking love.
He had great hands. Yeah. Oh, let me tell you about Keith Jackson. That's what Chris Berman used to shout out.
Luke, what do you think of? Even though he's a Hurricane, a former Hurricane, Andre Johnson. He used to kill Miami every time we played Houston.
Johnson
that guy gave me nightmares, bro.
Andre Johnson to me was always just a dude that seemed to beat up your secondary physically, right? He was like a tight end, wide receiver speed, and it wasn't so much like the hands, and he had great hands, right? I would say there's better wide receivers that had better hands. And it's not like he had speed. He wasn't the fastest. It was the beating your secondary took that eventually he was now just he demoralized them. He would go and get high balls and come down with his big ass and land on his feet on you. That's shit he did.
Would you say he's like a Ricky Williams as a wide receiver, like a Ricky Williams version of wide receiver?
That's a good spin comp right there. I like that.
Yeah.
I think we'd all agree Chris Carter had better hands than him, right?
That's who I was gonna pick. That's who's on my mount.
Yeah. So somebody mentioned Carter earlier.
He's on mine.
What about Reggie Wayne, man?
Fuck, dude, Reggie Wayne is the Iron Man, bro. The Iron Man. Reggie Wayne.
He never got hurt. I don't think he ever missed a game, did he? But yeah. Speaking of somebody said Art Monk. Can anybody remember the name of that trio? Y'all remember the name of the trio they called themselves, right?
No.
With Art Monk?
No.
He was with Ricky Sanders and Gary Clark. They called themselves the Posse. That's who they were when they was when Mark Rippon and Doug Williams was the quarterback.
Yep.
They called themselves the Posse.
Speaking of Denver,
yeah.
how could we leave out the Madden glitch himself, Ed McCaffrey?
Oh yeah, they've always had great receivers.
Ed McCaffrey.
That the man was so good he caused a glitch in Madden.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, he did. He was the man.
There's another name getting left out of here.
That receiving course.
Chad Ochocinco Johnson.
Chad
he did.
Say what you
some good hands. Some good ones. He was terrible in New England, but he has some good hands.
Here's a name that was getting left off that list too, and he played it for a team in Florida, Jimmy Smith.
Yeah, Jimmy Smith on the Jaguars. Yeah, great. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, he was.
What's the other guy? The guy about the guy that pioneered the whole Sharpie thing, wasn't that, or the cell phone? They were Jim Horn.
Horn.
Joe
Horn. Joe Horn. Yeah, from the Saints. Yeah. Yeah, he started that trend.
His son plays defensive back. I forgot who though. His
son. You're right. His son is a playing. Right. Damn.
I think the Saints. He plays for the Saints.
That's making oil, man.
I cannot believe how many
the dad played for the Saints. My bad.
All those guys,
wide receivers there's been in the league, man.
Yeah, especially now that their kids are starting to play football now.
But a lot of the wide receivers
in the league now.
You know, it's funny. A lot of the wide receivers that we mentioned, R.A. Johnson and the people within the Mount Rushmore, played in the era where there was no such thing as bumping the. You couldn't touch the wide receiver after 5 yards.
Right.
Oh yeah, you could do what you want with the receiver.
And let's not forget, most of the teams it was, 2 run plays and a pass play. It wasn't like you're getting passing all over the place.
Yeah, you couldn't, man. Yeah, it was 3 runs, 3 runs, and a cloud of dust. That's what it was back then.
There's a name I haven't heard yet, and maybe it was said earlier, but Terrell Owens was a fucking monster there for quite a long time.
How can we forget Terrell Owens? Yeah. He was like the bridge, Cap. He was like the bridge between old school and new school.
That's a great take by you, Crypto, because he was still playing a certain type of way back then.
Right, he's the perfect bridge receiver.
Yeah,
John Taylor.
They were still getting that defenseless wide receiver. That wasn't a rule yet. He was still getting his clock cleaned, and then when it changed, became a little bit more finesse. It didn't change his game at all.
Right, because you remember that touchdown, I think, in a championship game, right? He caught in between 3 guys.
Yeah, the 49er game, against the Packers.
Yep.
Listen, there's a guy now, he's not the caliber of receiver we're talking about, but if we're just talking about from a hands perspective, this is just my opinion. But I'll put Jarvis Landry's hands up against anybody in the league.
Jarvis Landry's hands were fucking stupid, bro. That motherfucker had his mitts. That son of a bitch could catch anything.
Speaking of abnormally long fingers.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he was. He had that Giannis.
Damn, nobody said Torrey Holt either.
Oh, man. How can we forget about Holt? Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, and we got to throw in their white guy, too. I told you all Ricky Prohl, man. People forget about Ricky Prohl.
But see, a lot of people forget he started out with the Cardinals back in the day. That's who they started with.
Joe
Prohl was with the Cardinals. Oh, Joe with Seattle. Jaravicious, the Seattle guy. That's who he was, right? Did he play with Seattle? Was it Seattle he played with?
I think. Well, I know he played for the Bucks during their run.
Andre Rison's a good one too.
Yeah, Rison. Oh, that's the one that was.
I mentioned Alvin Harper. We forgot about Tim Brown, who was like the fastest guy in the league forever.
Tim Brown,
and of course Sterling Sharp. Man, how could we forget Sterling Sharp?
The old trusty Oakland LA Raiders.
I remember. You remember when
Sharp was a good one.
You remember when Tim Brown and Jerry Rice played for the Raiders, and there was a time where they played Miami, and we had Chris Carter. So we had the first time in NFL history that 3 of the top wide receivers played on the same field at the same time. Not the same time, but and
Same
played
era.
at one time, one field. Number 1, 2, and 3 were playing in one game.
Yeah, we did.
That was the first time in history.
Dan Marino, thank you.
Yeah, Chris Carter. I don't know. Chris Carter didn't play with Dan Marino.
He played with Fiedler, didn't he?
Yeah.
Was it Fiedler?
Yeah.
It was Fiedler. Yeah.
Hey, going a little off topic,
David
just
Boston,
staying with
too.
the hands.
David
If
Boston.
you had to name your Mount Rushmore of cornerbacks, the guys that say they have to play corner because they don't have hands, who would you say is the Mount Rushmore of corners?
Definitely
Jake Scott.
the Jerry
since he
Rice
does have
definitely is
hands,
gonna
it would have to be
primetime Deion
Xavier Howard.
Sanders. Deion
Xavier
Sanders
Howard's
is
got great
definitely-
hands. I don't know if he'd be on the Mount Rushmore. We would really have to delve into it. I would
So
say also
Deion Sanders is going to be on there.
Sanders
Troy
is
Vincent.
definitely the first name that comes
League-wise,
to
got to
mind.
be Sanders. Yeah.
Definitely Troy
What
Vincent.
about Revis Island?
Well, Revis was locked the
Revis
fuck
now
down. He
made
could
it,
he could
yeah.
pick the ball off because he baited
You
people.
gotta put
I don't know if he
Revis
had
on there.
hands
Yeah,
so
kinda gotta
much.
And for anybody that thinks that Troy Vincent is an odd one, nah. You have 4 interceptions in a playoff game, you're it. Period. Troy Vincent has to be on this list.
How about a guy like Ty Law?
Damn, dude.
Oh,
listen,
yeah.
Ty Law.
He was the
If you're
most aggressive.
now, if we're talking,
He's
if
the reason
Ty
why the
Law,
rules
yes, he had
changed.
hands, but if you're just talking about one of the best DBs of all time, Ty Law was so fucking good. That son of a bitch played everywhere, bro. He didn't just play
I blame
corner.
him for the
He didn't
rules
just follow
change.
guys. He played zone, nickel, safety.
Yeah,
You
he
didn't know
did,
where
Cat.
the fuck that son of a bitch was going to be at. He'd be in there as the pseudo linebacker. The whole reason the Patriots were hard to fucking nail down when he went against them in offense is because of that son of a bitch Ty Law, and he never made the big bucks either.
Right. Yeah. Well, what about a guy that played with Art Monk on that Washington team, Darrell Green?
What about Charles Woodson?
Charles Woodson's another one. Yeah.
Darrell Green was a beast, man.
Darrell Green was
That's
a
a good
fucking
one.
beast.
Darrell Green.
Darrell Green put the
fastest man in
lick
the
on your
NFL.
fucking ass too.
You couldn't outrun him. That was the problem. Darrell Green was the fastest.
Would you put Xavier Howard on there?
We did talk a little bit about
I
that.
would.
Xavier Howard got hands.
bro.
He got motherfucker. If it's a hands thing, you're not gonna not bring him up.
He
That's
caught
for sure.
some. Yeah.
I mean, simply because he's got better hands than half the wide receivers in the league.
I would agree with that.
I mean, hands wouldn't do it alone for me, but when you're talking about that level of hands, bro, you know what I mean? That's his
how about Richard
superpower.
Sherman? What would you rate Richard Sherman in his prime?
I guess you have to put him in there, but wasn't he known to be kind of one-sided?
Yeah, like
was
a
very
zone.
physical.
He was more of a zone cornerback.
But he was also
He wasn't
really
really a
physical
man
too,
guy.
which helped him out in his game early on in his career. Even though he was skinny, he was very good at. You know who? Did anybody say Rod Woodson? Because Rod Woodson might be the best hands.
Rod Woodson, yeah.
He might have
listen,
the best
be one of
He
the
got a
greatest
lot of
of all time.
interceptions.
I would say
Rod would be on there.
I would say Ed Reed had some good hands. I don't remember a lot of balls.
Oh, we move
He
into
did.
the,
He was the quarterback of He was the quarterback of DBs.
And
He
the
read defenses
best
like
the best dressed safety of all time, man.
If you're just saying
he was a quarterback of safety of the DB position.
Yeah, if you're
I
Mount Rushmore of safeties, I would say
just talking about
right.
more of it. I was just talking about his hands, though. I don't remember a lot of balls hitting Ed Reed's hands that he wasn't coming down with.
No, if his hands touched the ball, it was his. It was his.
Another guy who had pretty good hands as far as safety, and I love saying his name. Clinton Dix was another one of those.
Yeah, that's true. He had a nice run there for a bit.
I think the Packers were trying to replace him finally this year in their draft.
That is a good one right there, Eric Allen.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagle.
Eric Allen too.
Yeah,
was he in Chargers too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking about Weddle.
Yeah.
My bad.
How about we'll finish?
Pretty damn good.
We got to finish off the wide receiver list. We forgot. I mean, we must have hit almost every team except for one. We got to do it. I know we hate them. The New York Jets. Al Toon.
Al Toon was a good one.
Yeah.
Fucking Al Toon.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Shake. What a name, man. Al Toon.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tune out.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up, man.
He's literally the only good Jets wide receiver I could think of.
What about Santana Moss?
Oh yeah, forgot about
Moss.
And Laverne Cole too was another good one.
Yeah,
Cole.
Yeah.
And
I do like Garrett Wilson. I think the guy's got real special.
Speaking of the mold Ricky Pro type receivers, they had Wayne Corbett.
Oh yeah, Wayne Corbett. That's right. That's right.
He fit that mold. Wayne Corbett.
Wayne Corbett was the Welker before Welker was the Edelman before Edelman was the. You know what I mean?
Well,
exactly. They had Wayne.
I just want to go if we're gonna take CBs to DBs and then lean towards safety. What about Troy Polamalu, bro? That guy.
That's another one.
I wouldn't necessarily say, but the catches he would make are on footballs no one should have been able to catch. That's the problem. Like he's got a whole highlight reel of interceptions that should have never been caught, whether it was a freaking ball that he caught with one hand,
right?
Or,
like I said earlier,
Cap,
about Odell Beckham. Polamalu played taller than he was, bro.
Way taller, bro.
I would agree.
You know how they have like a compact drill. It's not as big as the original drill, but it still packs a punch. I think he was like a compact version of Junior Seau.
Yeah, 1000%. What I don't know if this guy's name was mentioned, and I know he's batshit crazy now. But what about Antonio Brown?
Oh,
he had
bro,
some good hands.
That son of a bitch was unstoppable there for a minute, dog. His hands,
everything,
another
speed,
hand,
hands.
Oh yeah,
he was. You know what AB is? AB is what he had. Jarvis Landry's hands and a faster body.
Yeah. AB would have been a joystick type player on Tecmo Bowl, bro. He would have been a guy you could.
I think
run
they were
up and down
right
the
around the same height, honestly.
Gronkowski has some pretty good hands.
Oh yeah, we said that.
Yeah.
Man, what a good whatchamacallit preview to Broken Takes tonight, huh?
Well, I forgot, and Ali just brought up Terry Glenn. Forgot about Terry Glenn. Rest in peace.
Yeah, Terry Glenn. Yep.
Didn't him and his son get killed?
Hey,
his son and him.
Well, hey boys, I'm gonna slide out. I'm gonna get some shit done, and then I'll see you guys for Broken Takes. It was fun having the tailgate take over Larry K's show, though. That was fucking funny.
Oh yeah,
I'll see you boys later.
You know,
but you always run the risk when you got color around, man. You know, I bring them all out of the woodworks.
Hey, we touched receivers, we touched safeties, corners. I'll put this guy's hands up, and he was a running back versus anybody in the league. Some of the softest hands I think I ever watched catching a football. Marshall Faulk. He made catching the ball look effortless.
He was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, who else had some good hands? Edward James.
Yeah.
Thurman Thomas was another one.
Unfortunately for us, Thurman Thomas.
Oh, yeah, Thurman would run fly routes, man. That dude was ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
You were meeting women?
I think they were on to something. Did
you notice how he spelled meeting?
Yeah, what were you catfishing them on those apps, whatever?
It kind of sounded like beating women. That's what I thought he said. Oh shit! I was like, ooh, shit.
I think I mean.
Yeah, when Michael K meets women, he's like the first thing he says when he meets woman he meets is, "So how much for the hour?"
Oh, we gotta love it.
Hey, so off the wall question. Now, I guess for me, I'll start with Culler since this was his special episode. Yeah. Culler, if you were a defensive player in the league, and they told you, imagine doing like an Oklahoma drill, right? And you had to tackle somebody coming at you. Who would you least want to take on in that scenario?
Like any position?
Anybody, any position, wide receiver, running back.
It would have to be Christian Okoye.
Goddamn, Culler, man. Me and you are spot on tonight because that was going to be my fucking pick. I didn't think you were gonna go that
followed
route.
up by his backup, Barry Word. You remember him too, bro? It wasn't like it was much smaller.
Bro, I
that was thunder and more thunder.
growing up as a young man, I was so fucking scared of Christian Okoye. It wasn't even funny, bro. I was shook.
That's why they call him the
Christian Okoye.
Nigerian Nightmare,
Oh, I'm
Lewis.
telling you, bro. You just
He
knew
had that
we
name
were
for
gonna,
a reason.
You just knew. Forget it. We're getting 100 put up on us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. Oh my God.
They would line up in that double I formation. Oh man, you saw it coming, man. There was nothing you can do but pray you can get him on the ground.
And you know, he didn't know anything about playing football. They're like, here, take the ball and run forward. That's literally
just one straight ahead.
what they did when bring him in.
He didn't have to read holes. He had to do nothing. Just go straight ahead. He was the
Until
purest
Steve Atwater.
north-south.
He was
That's
the
why,
purest
Lewis, north-south runner in the game, man.
It's probably why I like Steve Atwater so much, because for all of us, bro, that wanted that nightmare to stop, bro, he finally did it, man. It was like, oh, finally somebody stood him up in the hole, man.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
That's
those
when
safeties
football
back
was
then
great,
was
man.
tough. They would take on anybody
back then, man. Football,
even the small
safeties.
Time,
I mean, really, Steve Atwater basically retired Christian Okoye with that hit. That was it. You didn't. There wasn't much of Christian Okoye after that.
Well, he was getting a little up there in age, though. He was.
Well,
he was off the greener pastures. He went back to Nigeria.
By the way, I appreciate everybody for coming through. We're about to wrap this up, man. Final thoughts going around first. We'll start with Crypto, Lewis, and then of course the guest of honor will get the final thought. So go ahead, Lewis.
Hey man, thanks for dropping the link so I can come up for like the last 10 minutes and just listening. I thought it was a great show. Shake, every show you do, bro, you're getting better and better. And obviously having a guy like Culler up here with his mind and intelligence and the way he sees the game. Again, we might not all agree. Sometimes I don't agree with Culler, but for the most part, I think Culler's spot on. And I just thought it was a great show. So thanks for having me up.
No doubt, man. This is a Finn's Tailgate affair, baby. Listen, as
Appreciate
long as I'm hosting,
as always,
Finn's Tailgate is always welcome up in this. And the same thing goes when I'm hosting the Finn's Tailgate. The Fury fam is welcome there as well. So it goes both ways. But go ahead, Crypto.
I appreciate it for letting me come up, to join on the last part of the segment about wide receivers and Hall of Fame play that happened back in the day. I love it. I get nostalgia, any day when we start talking old school. So it's I love it, man. Great episode with Culler, talking about the position and the beloved Miami Dolphins. It's been great, man. Unlike Lewis, I would warn everybody that I'm not in the shower, so I'm at work sitting inside of my truck.
Hey, you know what? I wasn't gonna do no shots, right? I was gonna let Culler finally get his stuff off. But real quick, Shake, what are your thoughts, Shake, of the co-hosting job that Crypto did today on his show with Pete and Fred? What did you think about the co-hosting?
Listen, man.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Listen, when I seen him today, I'm like, damn, I got the right co-host for my insomnia episode, man. I'll tell you what, man.
I agree.
Crypto is if you do Mount Rushmore of co-host, I think he's the first name you should put up there.
And for those in the audience, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
Right. Do you agree that he's like the Mount Rushmore of co-hosts?
Man, Shake, listen, forget about the Mount Rushmore. It's only a solo shot of Crypto and co-hosting. You see what I'm saying? The only thing I would say, Shake, I'm kind of upset because he does an okay job with you. You carry that show Insomnia. But the problem is Crypto he's vibrant, he's live, he agrees with Fred and Pete. I just don't understand it. But hey man, Crypto, keep doing your thing. You're doing a great job over there with Pete and Fred, man.
I can personally tell you though, Lewis, that Crypto
No, Shake is off probation.
Despite vibrantly agreeing with them guys, I can personally attest that Crypto is way too intelligent to have his cereal with water, bro. That's all I know.
Hey. I
had to get out of there. I'm like, I can't be associated with people that eat their cereal with water. I'm out of here, man.
Yeah, you got to get out real quick.
That was the last.
You got to get out of there.
To a hater, but don't tell me I eat my cereal with water, man.
That's what that panel was sounding like a little bit earlier. A bunch of guys that eat their cereal with water. So.
Oh my God!
But we have all tried once and made that mistake once. You know it.
Oh no!
Absolutely.
I mean, when you love cereal that much when you're a kid and there ain't no milk and the parents ain't home, it's like, is it really that bad with water?
It's that much more
it's that bad.
When you leave it with nothing, with no.
Dude, I'll eat dry cereal before putting water in it, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sometimes it's better that way.
So, Culler, what are your final thoughts, my brother?
I'll eat dry cereal before I eat cereal with water. No, I'm kidding. Thank you all for showing me all the support you do all the time, man. You didn't have to come through like that, but I appreciate chopping it up with you guys as always. And later, if Nene comes by I see Nene in the chat. If she comes by the Broken Takes, we might be able to get some of her menu items from the F1 race. We were talking about that earlier. She posted the menu, and man, God, really, Steve? Menu. Really, you're gonna charge people that much to eat? My God. Anyway, I know I'm rambling. But, that's only because Lewis. I don't know why they keep pumping this strain, man, but it's called Cap Junkie. Isn't that gross, dude?
It does sound disgusting. I would agree.
I mean,
Cap Junkie.
It does live up to its namesake, but God, man, what a terrible name, dude. They need to discontinue that one.
Man.
So, as we wrap this up, man, I appreciate Lewis, Crypto, and of course Culler for coming through, man, and showing me support in my other ventures outside of the Phin-Addict. It means a lot to me. Your guys' friendships mean a lot to me. And just want you to know, this Thursday, I got Chef Jew coming in the blender. We're going to do our annual schedule release episode.
That's going to be
Thursday. Next week, I got I'm trying to talk to DG Live, DG Entertainment to be in the blender. Next week, I got Cruz Louise coming in the blender. I got
who?
Cruz Louise. I got
beat you to it, Luz.
The first lady of YouTube coming on Phin-Sanity 5.
A legend.
I've got the Texas legend still to come. EM Dolphin fan. Damn. I got Spider-Man, aka Irving, and that's just a few names. Listen, Texas we're legend. Doing this all the way to July. The last episode is going to be with Larry K. I got Miss Pam coming in still. I got Crypto to come up. So I'm telling you, once this episode, the season 2 comes to an end, it's gonna be bittersweet. Not only, I have to wait till April to do season 3, but that means football is around the corner. As soon as season 2 of In the Blender ends, that means we have preseason football just around the corner. And one last thing, HB. Some of the fellows on the panel heard the new theme song I got going on. HB is doing a video. I will be debuting that video with Ty Bless. I can't wait for that episode to air as well. So
awesome.
Pins up. And once again, thanks for everybody who comes in and shows love all the time, man. I couldn't
give it up for Shake Money, the best dressed host in all of Dolphins YouTube.
Yeah. He got on his Ted DiBiase look now.
Telling you.
Peace out, my brother.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.